Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda, and this is my sister Ellen, and we are so excited that you have joined us today. And we are thankful for all of you that have joined our page and shared our page, and we are just overwhelmed by the amount of people that have joined our page. It is growing and growing each day. Right now, we're sitting at about 250 followers, and we couldn't have done it without you. So we just want to thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks for being you.
So cheesy. Continue.
That's not cheesy, Ellen. This is staying in the video. Ellen saying I'm cheesy. I'm not cutting this.
Whatever.
That's character.
Are you going to introduce it?
I already did.
Oh, did you? Okay. We are so excited to introduce to you Breaking the Silence HD Unfiltered. So this is a podcast dedicated to raising awareness, sharing real stories, and breaking the stigma surrounding Huntington's disease. So it's a podcast, but it's also like not a podcast. We don't know what else to call it, so it's a podcast.
And you get to see our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
So, what can you expect? Honest conversation about Huntington's disease, life with HD, our personal stories of growing up with our mom that had HD, and other stories from other people that have also been impacted by Huntington's disease. We also want to share insight as research comes out. We will do video about it and kind of share what's happening, and as well as treatments. If there's any new treatments that come up or drugs that are released, we will do a video about it and try and get the word out there and share updates as they become available. But also, we just want this to be a place of community, hope, and support for anybody impacted by Huntington's disease, as well as people that just want to learn.
So for this episode, we're going to explain Huntington's disease for those who might not know or aren't totally clear on what it is. And we're also going to share a little bit about our personal lives and how we are affected by Huntington's disease. What is Huntington's disease?
Well, Huntington's disease is also known as Huntington's chorea. It is an incurable neurodegenerative disease that is inherited. So you have to inherit it from a parent. You can't just catch it. It has to be inherited.
It's not contagious.
The earliest symptoms are often problems with mood, mental, and psychiatric abilities. You may also have a lack of coordination and unsteady gait follow. And as the disease progresses, people become more uncoordinated and have involuntary movements, which is known as chorea. So if you see a person that has HD and they kind of have what looks like shakes or they're swaying their arms around, that's known as chorea. Physical abilities gradually worsen until coordinated movements become difficult and the person is unable to talk. So people really just lose the ability to do anything. So walk, talk,
swallow.
Like it starts with like losing your ability to drive or losing your work, your job that you go to because you can no longer just do the task that you're supposed to be doing. So also, a person will also get dementia, depression, apathy, impulsivity. It just depends because just because someone has HD doesn't mean they're going to have all these symptoms, or doesn't mean the person next to them that also has HD will have the same symptoms, because it's a very much individual disease that different people present it in different ways. So just know that it's not always the same.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
No.
Symptoms for this usually begin between 30 and 50 years of age. It can occur in people under 20, and that is called juvenile Huntington's disease. And juvenile HD is a a more aggressive version of Huntington's disease. So Huntington's disease is inherited from an affected parent who carries a mutation in the Huntington gene. So expansion of CAG repeats in the coding for the Huntington protein results in a mutated Huntington protein. And this gradually damages brain cells. Diagnosis is done by genetic testing, which can be done at any time, regardless of whether you have symptoms or not. And in Canada, you must be 18 years of age to test, but there is some exception to this.
Yep. So if you have a child that you believe is presenting Huntington's symptoms, then you can seek out a doctor. And if the doctor believes that this individual is exhibiting Huntington's symptoms, then at that point you can have genetic testing done on someone under the age of 18.
Yes. So as of right now, there is no known cure for Huntington's disease, and full-time care is required in the late stages. There is some treatment options available that can help relieve some of those symptoms or improve the quality of life, but ultimately HD is always fatal, and that death typically occurs 15 to 20 years after the symptoms begin.
So Ellen mentioned a CAG repeat, and you're probably thinking, what the heck is that?
What is that?
So it's in our DNA. So everyone has their DNA coding in their gene, and everyone has a CAG repeat. It just depends on how many times that CAG repeats in your DNA. So if you don't have Huntington's disease, then your CAG repeat will be under 20. For somebody that does have some Huntington's disease, then they have a CAG repeat of above 30. But there's a gray area. So between 30 to 35, you have the Huntington gene, but you will not develop Huntington's disease in your lifetime. So that means you can still pass on that gene to a parent or to a child, but you won't have the symptoms. And then if you're above 35 to 40, you do have the Huntington gene, and you may or may not show symptoms during your lifetime. And if you do, it will be much later in life. And then if you have a CAG repeat of above 40, that means that you do have Huntington's disease, obviously, but you will definitely show symptoms during your lifetime. And the higher the CAG repeat, the earlier the symptoms. So somebody that has a CAG repeat of maybe 20 or 41 won't have Huntington's disease until later on in life, whereas somebody that has a CAG repeat of 46 or 47 might show symptoms in their early to late 30s. Just depends on how high your CAG repeat is, as well as just kind of who you are as genetically as well. And also, if you have over 50 CAG repeats, then that is when we see juvenile Huntington's disease. And obviously, then symptoms happen while you're a child, or I think it's before the age of 25. As long as you start having symptoms before the age of 25, then that means you have juvenile HD.
Right. Is that it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll just take a minute to talk about ourselves and how we're impacted by HD. So my name is Ellen, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, and I live in Chatham, Ontario, along with Amanda, and we are impacted by HD because our mother had it, who got it from our grandmother, who also had it. And we lost our mother in 2021, and our grandmother passed away in 2001. I wasn't even born yet, but it's a very aggressive disease. We watched it take our mother. So I am married and I have 3 children, 2 of which are biological. So I haven't been tested, and I am okay with that. So I'm currently at risk as well as my 2 biological children. And we also have 4 other siblings and many nieces and nephews who could be at risk as well.
Mm-hmm. So, as Ellen said, all our siblings are at risk. I decided to do the genetic testing in 2018. So I did the genetic testing and I found out I was gene positive for Huntington's disease, which, going back to our CAG repeats, my CAG repeat was 45. So this means that I will definitely develop Huntington's disease in my lifetime. And it's actually the same CAG repeat that my mom had. So I'm kind of thinking I might start showing, or might kind of follow along the same lines as her, in regards to symptoms and that kind of thing. So up until 2 years ago, I was asymptomatic, until a couple years ago, like I said, when I went to see my neurologist, and she just kind of put me in like this gray area where she thinks it's HD, but she doesn't want to quite label it as HD, until she's absolutely certain. So, and some of those symptoms that I have are just like my anxiety that I've had for a while, but sometimes it gets worse. I also have like my fidgeting and stuff that I do, and just have like this twitch in my hands, and a lot of twitching at night and stuff like that. So it's just stuff that we're keeping an eye out for and following more closely to see kind of where that goes. So I'm married, and I have 2 stepchildren who are obviously not at risk of having Huntington's disease because they're not my biological children. But anyways, I'm just...
So the symptoms that you're hearing, like the anxiety and the fidgeting, from an outsider point of view, those may just seem like everyday things that everyday people experience. But within like the Huntington's disease community, these are symptoms. So you may think like, oh, I have anxiety. Like, how does it compare? And it's the fact that that is a symptom of the disease. So that's the difference there. When you are gene positive, then they start to look deeper into, is this a symptom of HD or is this just something you have?
Mm-hmm. So back to kind of the videos. So each week we'll release these videos, like we said, on Wednesdays. We're going to try and keep the videos to around 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes they'll be a little bit longer. We hope that they're never a little bit shorter, but they might be. Just depending on what topic we're covering that day and kind of how much content we have that we want to release to you. Like if someone's sharing their personal story, it might go a little bit longer because it takes a little bit longer. But just know that each week we will be bringing content to you.
Yeah. And as we do this, we want to hear from you. So we want to create a space for real conversations, education, and support. So that means if you have a topic that you want us to cover, or maybe you have a question about something that we've talked about, you can always reach out to us. Just comment on our videos, message us on Facebook. We also have an email. Mm-hmm. And we want to hear your opinions and what you want to know.
So also, we know that as we dive deeper into some of these conversations about life with Huntington's disease and growing up with our mom and testing positive and other stories that come along with having a mom with HD, that we might cover some heavy topics. And so we want you to know that you can reach out to us at any time, whether on our Facebook page, our email, hdunfiltered@gmail.com, YouTube page, on our personal pages. We are always here for any of you. If you ever just need somebody to listen, or if there's ever a time that you just have a question about something that we posted or something that we shared and you're unsure or you want to know more, you can also just send us a message and we will try to answer it as best as we can. And if we can't find the answer, we will put you in contact with somebody that can.
Yeah, so just to touch on that, we are involved with the Huntington Society of Canada, not affiliated, but we attend events and we have a lot of connections with people within the society, so we can always get you in touch with somebody.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
If you need it. So if you've made it this far, I just want to say a thank you from both of us for taking the time to watch our video. And we hope that with each video we release, we make our fellow HD community proud. And woo! Don't forget to tune in every Wednesday, and together we can break the silence.
So thank you again for tuning in, and I'm just going to quickly let you know what we're going to be covering next week. So next week we will dive deeper into our story, so our kind of where HD came from in our family, and how we found out our grandma even had HD, as well as more about our mom, our HD hero, and a little more about kind of our family dynamics and what that looks like with 6 kids in our family. So we hope that you will be back next week. And yeah, just thank you for taking the time, because
we wouldn't be here without your support and love.
And we love you guys.